Drake is one of the most streamed artists on the planet. But have you ever actually sat down and thought about how much money that translates to every single month? Not his net worth, not his career earnings, just what lands in his account from his music alone every 30 days. Today we are going to break it all down, step by step, so you can see exactly how the money flows from a stream to a paycheck at the level of one of the biggest artists alive. Let us start with the most visible number. Drake currently has over 87 million monthly listeners on Spotify alone. To put that in perspective, most countries in the world do not even have 87 million people. That is a staggering audience, and it is just on one platform. But monthly listeners only tell part of the story. What really matters is how many times his songs are actually being played, because that is what generates revenue. When you dig deeper into the data, Drake's catalog is being streamed approximately 51 million times every single day on Spotify. That is not a monthly figure. That is daily, every 24 hours, 51 million plays. Now here's something important to understand about how streaming works financially. Spotify does not represent an artist's entire streaming income. Typically, Spotify accounts for somewhere between 45 and 55% of a major artist's total streaming activity. The rest comes from Apple Music, Amazon Music, Tidal, YouTube Music, Deezer, and every other platform where people are pressing play. So when you take Drake's Spotify numbers and scale them up to account for all platforms combined, his total streams across the entire streaming ecosystem come out to approximately 2 billion streams per month. So how does 2 billion streams turn into actual money? This is where the music industry gets interesting, because the number that lands in an artist's pocket is very different from the total amount those streams generate. Streaming platforms pay out what is called a per-stream royalty. The average across all major platforms sits at roughly half a cent per stream, sometimes slightly more, sometimes slightly less depending on the platform and the listener's subscription tier. When you multiply that rate across 2 billion monthly streams, the total streaming royalty pool generated by Drake's music comes out to approximately $8.8 million a month in gross revenue. But Drake does not keep all of that. This is where his record deal comes in. Drake is signed to Universal Music Group, which is the largest record label operation in the world. Labels typically take the majority of streaming revenue because they own the master recordings, meaning they own the actual recorded versions of the songs. For most artists, the label keeps anywhere from 70 to 85% of streaming income, leaving the artist with a 15 to 30% cut. But Drake is not most artists. He is one of the most commercially successful acts Universal has ever worked with, which means he has been able to negotiate significantly better terms than a typical signed artist would ever see. Based on what is known about high-level label deals at his tier, it is reasonable to estimate that Drake receives around 40% of the master royalty income from his streams. That is an exceptional deal by industry standards and reflects the kind of leverage that only comes with being consistently one of the top earning acts on the planet. With a 40% cut of $8.8 million, Drake's monthly earnings from streaming masters alone comes out to approximately $3.5 million. But streaming royalties are only one piece of the picture. There is a second, often overlooked income stream called publishing royalties. Publishing is separate from the master recording and relates to the songwriting itself, the underlying composition, the lyrics, and the melody. Every time a song is streamed, two separate royalties are generated. One goes to whoever owns the master recording, and a separate one goes to whoever owns the publishing rights to the composition. These are two completely different income streams from the same single play. Publishing royalties typically come out to roughly half of what the master royalty generates. For an artist at Drake's level who writes or co-writes the majority of his own material and controls a significant portion of his publishing, this adds another substantial layer of monthly income. Based on his catalog size and streaming volume, His monthly publishing income is estimated at around $1 million per month. Then there is YouTube. Drake's official YouTube channel and the broader presence of his music across the platform, including official videos, lyric videos, and audio uploads, generates hundreds of millions of views every month. YouTube pays out through its advertising revenue model, and for a channel at Drake's scale, that translates to approximately $500,000 per month in additional income. YouTube is often underestimated as a revenue source for major artists. But at this level of viewership, it becomes a very real and consistent income stream that runs in the background, whether he is actively releasing new music or not. So let us add it all up. From streaming master royalties, approximately $3.5 million a month. From publishing royalties on those same streams, approximately $1 million. From YouTube, approximately $500,000. That brings his total monthly music income to an estimated $5.4 million every single month. And that is just from recorded music and publishing. That figure does not include touring, merchandise, brand partnerships, his whiskey brand Virginia Black, his ownership stakes in various businesses, or any other income outside of his music catalog working for him around the clock. The thing that is really worth letting sink in is this. Most of that $5.4 million is completely passive. Drake does not have to wake up, show up, or do anything for the majority of that money to come in. Every time someone presses play on one of his songs anywhere in the world, the counter moves. His back catalog alone, songs he recorded years ago, is generating income right now as you watch this. That is the real power of building a music catalog at scale. The songs keep working long after the recording session is over. And this is actually the bigger lesson here. People look at an artist like Drake and see the fame, the lifestyle, the cultural impact. But underneath all of that is a business, a carefully structured, legally negotiated, royalty-generating machine that turns human attention into monthly income. Every stream is a fraction of a cent, but multiply a fraction of a cent by 2 billion every single month, and you start to understand how the music industry actually works at the top level. $5.4 million a month from music alone. That is the number, and now you know exactly how it gets there.